Hey there guys, how's it going? My name is Vertigo, and we are here in the darkened version of Firelink Shrine to finish up Dark Souls 3. So here we are in a shrine without a fire. We were brought here after we brought the last Lord of Cinder, Prince Lothric, to his throne, and um, honestly, I'm not 100% sure exactly what this place is. It feels like another version of the Firelink Shrine where the fire doesn't exist. But when we walk out here, we find we're in another world altogether. So we've actually been brought to the Kiln of the First Flame by whatever magic the Firekeeper rested on us. Um, if it's the same Kiln of the First Flame from Dark Souls 1s and 2, which I would be like kind of surprised, but it kind of makes sense because those ones we essentially just walked into them. And I actually accidentally just used a bonfire. It's not actually a bonfire; it just takes you back to the real shrine. Well, quote unquote, on the real shrine. Oh no, sorry. This one takes you to the actual kiln. I wasn't actually able to recognize it my first lap through here, but it's very similar to the kiln that we find in Dark Souls 1 with like the burnt pillars, the ruins all around it. So yeah, we are at the home of the linking of the fire. We have some people here to get summoned, but we're not going to touch them for now. It's time to make our last lap. In Dark Souls 1, there were Black Knights all over. It looks like that part of the kiln has been destroyed. Or, if, like I said, it's possible this is an alternate version. But who we do have available to summon here is our Londor Pale Shade friend who helped us with the Abyss Watchers and with Pontiff Sullivan. And a little further up ahead, we'll also have a new NPC we can summon. So the kiln, it appears like it's completely different from any kiln we've seen before. That's the point I'm trying to make. But I feel like there aren't multiple kilns of the first flame, right? There should only be one. There's one first flame, and there's one kiln for it. But this looks radically different from any kiln we've found before. Up here, we have found our second NPC summon, which is Yuria of Londor. These two are available if you completed the King of Hollows storyline. So, by finding Yol of Londor on the dilapidated bridge, to accepting the dark sigils from him, to taking Yanri, who the fuck is Yanri? Anri into Irithel, and sacrificing her at the Dark Moon Chamber. These Yuria, the Pale Shade, they've accepted you as the King of Hollows, and now you are their lord, and they've come to help you with this final fight in wresting the flame from its mantle. Unfortunately, what stands in your way is the embodiment of every Lord of Cinder we have ever had, which is the Soul of Cinder. Um, this is like the ultimate boss fight, in my opinion. This is the only fight that could have ended the Dark Souls series. He literally is like the first flame. And he brings everything to the table that any boss imaginable could. You see, right now he's casting sorceries. He's used Soul Arrow. He's using Soul Stream, Crystal, Soul Masses. He's bringing everything to the table that any boss could. Like, for example, he's using Crystal Sorceries developed by Seath the Scaleless. He's also using pyromancies like the Witch of Izalith. He is the ultimate boss fight. So this really is the greatest boss fight that Dark Souls 3 could have ended with, short of like another fight against Gwyn himself, which would just kind of make sense. He's got a sword like Gwyn did, but you'll see a better version of that later on. It just is a crazy fight. The first phase is nothing really special, especially when you have 3 people banging on him. It's pretty much nothing, even though he backflips as if there's no tomorrow. So he just tried to use power within, but we caught him on that. So we got him down to first health, to the end of his first health bar, but he has now gone OG Soul of Cinder. He's got the same sword that Gwyn faced us with in Dark Souls 1, and he is kicking the shit out of everybody. Obviously, I'm using post commentary because the audio came out the same as last time. But I missed this completely the first time I played, which I was really disappointed in myself in. But well, for starters, he's using the same grab attack that Gwyn uses when we fight him in Dark Souls, and a version of Gwyn's boss music is also playing. So this is like the ultimate fan service for Dark Souls fans. We have like what we are doing right now is essentially light versus dark in its final form. We have the Hollows of Londor who want to bring about the Age of Man, and the Soul of Cinder who's desperate to continue the Age of Fire. Something I'd be curious about is what happens if we fail. If we were to fail, rather. Like, obviously, based on the mechanics of the game only ends one way. We beat the Soul of Cinder and we follow the linking of the fire, or we pick any of the multiple endings that are available to us. But what if the player character just can't cut it? Which obviously we don't have to talk about because there goes the Soul of Cinder. Thank you, Yuria, for your service. I still hate you for what happened to Henri, and I would sacrifice you in a second to have her back, but I appreciate the help. But nevertheless, say the player character is defeated or for some reason can't complete their duty, and the Soul of Cinder is just left, does the first flame eventually fade out, or does the Soul of Cinder protect it? But nevertheless, this is where the paths of the ending can branch. So you have technically 3, but really 4 options. The first option is to just take the fire, link the flame, your character becomes Cinder, becomes the next Lord of Cinder, essentially. You link the fire and move on. The next thing you can do is to summon your Firekeeper. And essentially, what the Firekeeper is going to do, this is available if you went to the Darkened Firelink Shrine, the Untended Graves, and you found the Firekeeper's eyes and gave them to her. And essentially what the Firekeeper is going to do is allow the first flame to go out, which will bring about the Age of Man that has long since been hearkened for. Presumably, we've had an Age of Man before, but we haven't really seen it. The events of all the Dark Souls games, as I understand it, takes place in the days before the first flame is going to fade. The undead curse is what happens when the light of the first flame goes out, or starts to go out, and humanity starts to eke its way in. So, as far as I know, this is the first Age of Dark that we've seen. You can choose to bring one about in the previous games, but this is like our hand indirectly bringing out our Firekeeper, and it's time for the first flame to take a nap. But in true to the cyclical Dark Souls fashion, our Firekeeper tells us that although darkness will rest shortly, the flames will return. So the other options, so you can link the fire, your Firekeeper can help the flame go out, or You can choose to become the King of Hollows if you followed um, the King of Hollows storyline with Yol and Yuria. And this is it. Based on those, that's the end of the Dark Souls series. And it's really kind of bittersweet, honestly. Like when I picked up Dark Souls 3, I was hoping that it would tie up like all the loose ends, that it would answer every question that we've ever had, explain things that we've tried to figure out, confirm or deny fan theories we've had over the last. God, how long ago did Dark Souls 1 come out? 5, 6 years? And even Demon Souls before that. And my only disappointment, and it's a very minor disappointment, is that we still have those questions. And Dark Souls is a game that is about, like in all honesty, not knowing. FromSoft has created a series of games that tells a story beautifully, but never gives us the final answer. So it's, hats off to FromSoft. They created a story without an ending, and it's still one of the most beautifully painted video game series of all time. Like, truthfully, no game that I can think of tells a story with so like few definitive details as Dark Souls. But that aside, we can look at the items we've acquired now. Here's the soul of the twin princes. The two princes rejected their duty to become lords of cinders and settled down far, far away to watch the fire fade from a distance. A curse makes their souls nearly inseparable. So as I said, the curse of Lothric and Lorien was that their souls were permanent. Here we have the soul of the lords. Since Lord Gwyn, the first Lord of Cinder, many exalted lords have linked the first flame, and it is their very souls that have manifested themselves as defender of the flame. So the soul of the lords is the culmination of every Lord of Cinder we've had, from Lord Gwyn the first to, us, possibly, at the end, or whoever the most recent Lord of Cinder was. So we can go up and talk to Ludleth, and we'll take a look at what weapons can be made from these boss souls. Oh, duh. Of course, Ludleth died with the linking of the flame, and, well, in his honor, one more dive off the throne. So yeah, Ludleth, of course, passed when he was burned by the flame. It truly is a wonder how such a little man survived the linking of the flame when so many giants among him did it as well. So Ludleth left for us the Skull Ring, which is in and of itself a boss, well, not really a boss item, but a item made from a powerful soul from his homeland of Corland. It is right here, the Skull Ring, easier to be detected by enemies. So Ludleth left us something. It's really just another ring to like up the challenge of the game. Derived from the soul of a soul feeder, the soul feeder was a beast that insatiably absorbed souls to feed its own power. Even after its accursed corpse was burned, it is said that the pungent stench of souls left the air permanently stained. It's funny to note that a soul feeder, a beast that insatiably absorbs souls to feed its own power, that's essentially what we are. We take the souls of our enemies and use them to make ourselves stronger. Alright. So, we are still, even though Ludleth is just a pile of ash and cinder now, we are still able to use his corpse to create boss items. Sorry, had to cut it for a second. It was so embarrassing. Literally about to wrap up the biggest series I've done yet, and I'm still screwing up. But we have the soul of the twin princes and the soul of the lords to create So a couple of different weapons. The first one, with the Soul of Cinder, we can create the Sunlight Spear, the miracle that Gwyn himself used to defeat the dragons and start the Age of Fire. Pretty fitting that you can create the OG amazing miracle from the Soul of Cinder. Prince Lothric's soul will give us the Lothric's holy sword. Lothric was meant to be a champion and was expected to wield this platinum sword, but some things will remain distant dreams forever. And it has the Sacred Lothric Light special ability, which is just like a beam of light shot out. We also have the Firelink Greatsword, which is the great sword that the Soul of Cinder used. And it has an Ember for its special ability. I think it'd be cool if the weapon could like actually restore your Ember state, but I guess that might be a little OP. And the last thing we have is Lorien's Greatsword, also made from the Twin Prince's soul. Prince Lothric's older brother cast the sword of Prince Lothric's older brother. Before Lorien embraced his brother's curse, he was a knight who single-handedly slayed the demon prince, but the victory eternally scorched his sword in flame. So that's why Lorien was able to use fire against us in their boss fight, because it was basically imbued with the power of chaos from the demon prince. So that must have been an interesting battle. But nevertheless, we're going to transpose Sunlight Spear naturally, and we're also going to get wherever it is, Lothric's Holy Sword. Give it just 1 second. Sometimes I hate doing post commentary because I watch myself in the past and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? We're making the Holy Sword. No ifs, ands, or buts. Oh my god, this is terrible. Watching myself play games is difficult. I don't know why you guys join me. Alright, well that's the last of our boss souls transposed. We're coming to the end of our adventure. So this is the end of New Game. I do plan on doing some New Game Plus runs. The Dark Souls DLC has been announced by now, and I look forward to exploring that with you guys as well. So for the last time, I hope you guys enjoyed this series. If you did, drop me a like, leave me a comment, let me know what you thought and what you want to see from me in the future. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have an awesome day, guys. Peace out.